Welcome to episode 39 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast for Cork City Football Club. And this week we talk to the head of the academy, Liam Kearney, ahead of a new season. Yeah, back with the podcast and back in Premier Division action. I'm joined as always by Mr. Howie. How are you?
All good, Stephen. How are you?
Did you calm down after the other night? I saw a lovely picture of you with in front of the shade.
You, what a photo.
That was epic. That's up in the wall.
Dave Ribeiro sent me that and I was like, oh, I tell you what a way to start the season.
I can't remember what the slogan was behind it. No,
it was on the banner in the shed. Yeah, the famous City Boys.
Yeah, and there's you cool kind of walking out. No, you could have smiled to the camera, but there was you kind of moody look on you.
To be fair, now the way the pitch was on Friday, I was concentrating on not slipping. So smiling for the cameras was the least of my worries.
I'd say Keats wasn't flavour of the month with the groundsman in Turner's Cross after that early
big old chunk. Yeah, did you see that?
It came straight up.
And Kev, the groundsman, was trying to fix it. Do you know what, the pitch? I actually thought the pitch, I'd been in there before the game, the couple of days and the week before. Pitch was unbelievable. It was just the rain that fell the night before killed it.
What is it about that side of the pitch? Because if you remember last year, during that famous Cove match when the fucking it was like it was like a swimming pool. It's always down that side.
I don't know, is it ever so slightly? There's a little gradient or something.
Or else there's a bloody river going underneath.
Possibly,
God only knows around the city. Like the whole city's built on some
marsh,
sort of river. Like, you know,
the whole thing is a marsh.
Yeah.
But no, the pitch. I'll be honest now. I was there a couple of times in the week, 2 weeks leading up, and it looked perfect. It looked unbelievable. But it's just typical Cork City luck. We had brutal rain for
it was really
hours
bad.
and hours. I remember lying in bed the night before the match. I could hear the rain. I was just thinking, oh God, it's not again.
I actually. At one stage when I heard that rain, I was saying, and it was still going till early in the morning, I was thinking this match could be called off if there's a stop.
Well, I don't think it ever got to that point, but I do always fear the worst. I'm thinking, oh God, what do I need to, what way will I word the tweet? Do you know what I mean?
It would be the worst time. Like, not that you want any game postponed, but imagine the first game of the season.
Oh, it'd be horrible.
It'd be horrible.
Especially when everyone else and every other game was being so like massively hyped up and there was so much attention going on it. Although it wouldn't have been the worst thing that happened on Friday night because Talca Park lost power.
Well, in fairness to the electricians at Turner's Cross, there was no lights went off.
What are the odds that the league title sponsor is SSE Electricity? They're an electricity provider. And the marquee match on the first game of the new TV deal of the new season that we've all been talking about, power goes at half time.
Well, I thought the funniest thing,
I absolutely love it.
I was leaving Turner's Cross, so I got to the car, and I'd say it must have been about maybe 10 to 10. I turns on news talks. So I said, I know they're covering the league now this season. Will it be still on? They might be chatting. There might be 10 minutes left. And next thing, the commentary of a match. I was saying, how the hell is this still on? So I hadn't looked at my phone.
I had seen it, all right. Yeah, I'd saw a few tweets come in about
there's another half an hour to go here.
Well, the only reason I had seen it was because I had been getting loads of notifications about LOI TV being down. So that's why I was on Twitter. There was a bit of an outage for 10 or 15 minutes at the start.
Oh, was there?
Not just with us, but service-wise.
Was it too many people or something?
I have no idea, to be honest. But that was the only reason I had been on.
Yeah.
I'd normally be in our Twitter notifications, but I was in the public side of Twitter and I saw that. I did get a good giggle out of that, though. I think it was half time. It just power completely went for 45 minutes. Funny enough,
there was a fan there that was an electrician or something.
But he probably, apparently he was able to identify the issue, but he wasn't allowed to work on it. They needed the actual support team to come out, which is hilarious. I love it. I know some people were giving out about it that that's very tin pot. It's not. It's brilliant. We talk about the drama and entertainment in this league, and this is the perfect way to start the season.
And the Super Bowl one time.
If someone was getting into the League of Ireland and all they see is people having a laugh online saying there's some crack, that league is some laugh. First night, this is what you see. Brilliant. You're in for strap in because you're in for the most fun year of your life watching League of Ireland.
Those stories was the same. Obviously Rovers and Bows were playing on Sunday. And then there's a video doing the rounds of one of the Bows lads coming on. But did you see the fourth official was putting his hand out to stop him from coming on the pitch? And the next thing, he shakes his hand and the fourth official looks at him.
Do you know what, right? Not to throw anyone under the bus here now, but Shauna McCarthy did something similar for our women's team 2 years ago. I think something similar now. The fourth official or the linesman had the hand out. She gave him a high five as she was going on, but I don't think that was caught on camera anywhere. But that video was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The fourth official as well. After he went on,
He was laughing,
wetting himself laughing. It was the funniest thing ever.
So Andrew, it's all those little things.
But you know what? Speaking of that game, just to go back to that, 33,000 people for a League of Ireland game.
Brilliant.
Phenomenal.
I saw a stat yesterday that it's bigger than the average attendance in La Liga.
Yeah. The League of Ireland put that up, yeah.
Serie A, I think, League One, and half of the Championship in England. So I think the only places that would have a higher league attendance on average would be like the Premier League. The Bundesliga would have a higher attendance as well.
Yeah.
But, of the top leagues.
I know that was a momentous thing for us, but like that stat really hammers home how big that event was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know we're always talking about potential, but it does show the potential of the league. Now, obviously, nobody wants to see a league game there every weekend because that sort of takes the shine off the cup final at the Aviva or a big day out at the Aviva.
Yeah.
But as a curtain raiser, at the start of every season, something like that, maybe once or twice a season, I'm fully on board with that. I saw a tweet someone was saying in Northern Ireland they have like a derby day every year. I think it's St. Stephen's Day, where they try to have as many rivals play against each other as possible.
Yeah.
I'd love to see something like that.
That could be something they could definitely
do.
Do.
Like imagine if you open the season with Shamrock Rovers against Bows, Cork City against Waterford or Cove if they come up.
Yeah.
Dundalk against Drogheda if they're back up. Something like that where it becomes like all of the big battles are on that day. Or even over a weekend, spread them across the weekend.
Like a mini tournament type of thing. Yeah.
Put them in the Aviva, put them in bigger stadiums, get them on TV, get as much coverage as possible. I think there's a real, again, potential there to make it like that day is like the big spectacle, do you know what I mean? And it gets everyone fired up for the year. I loved it. I know the Aviva wasn't full. No, I don't think the Aviva had to be full. No. Do you know what I mean? I think it served the purpose. It was a worthwhile experiment, definitely. And it looked brilliant on TV. The atmosphere was brilliant. The match itself was actually better than I was expecting. I thought it might have been a bit of a slog just because of the one-off nature of it, but I think it was good. It was enjoyable.
And there's a huge impact as well. I was listening to a discussion on this in terms of the economic benefit to the area. Like all the pubs and everything around the place were all packed.
Exactly, yeah.
Cafes, restaurants, all that. And people forget about that. We're talking about if we want to get funding from the likes of the government, it's that impact that it has. Like, that's brilliant money in February when, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot
going on. And the amount of people I saw, I posted about it on Twitter last night, with Instagram stories up of people I know who are based in Dublin who never go to a League of Ireland game or talk about League of Ireland. And they were there as a neutral. You've got pages, the big sports pages who might post the odd bit about League of Ireland, but their feed has been completely saturated with League of Ireland content. Not just that match, but about Cork City, about whatever it is. Virgin obviously are doing a lot of the donkey work this year because it's nearly their league now. They're the ones doing it. Everywhere you look, I know we spoke before about the signage around the city centre here. Signage outside Turner's Cross now, it's all been upgraded.
It looks fantastic.
Everywhere you look, you're seeing or hearing or reading about the League of Ireland. And it's very exciting. And
and you still get the begrudgers. I can't understand the mentality of it, to be honest. Like, I see people, but the standard isn't great and all this kind of, this nonsense, and that's all it is really, to be honest, it's nonsense. We all know that it takes time for us to build a league that's going to be competing at the top level in Europe. But it has to start somewhere.
Yeah, the standard. People get hung up on the standard. First of all, to like a response to the standard thing, we have a club, as much as we hate to admit it or talk about it. Look at what Shamrock Rovers are doing at the minute in the Conference League.
Yeah.
But it's much more than the standard. The standard is quite good. It's come on a lot. Overall, the professionalism is significantly ahead of where it was. But it's more of a... You look at the Premier League now, for example, it's become this... It's almost like an entertainment...
Can I have your jersey
rather
if I see another one of those posters?
Exactly, but it's more of like a source of entertainment or something more similar to like a TV show
It's like the NFL.
rather than a local sport that you can feel connected to or have access to players, staff, legends, stuff like that. You know what I mean? You can go to Turner's Cross and anyone could end up chatting to Shawnee Maguire, Rory Keating, or Cathal O'Sullivan. Do you know what I mean?
And they can coincide. And like, for anyone that has somebody that's really like, I could never get in this. I've always been like this. I can never get my head around people who would follow a club solely just in the UK, let's say, for example, and never support their own team as well. I don't care. Like, follow them, follow Barcelona, AC Milan, whoever you want to follow.
I'll be honest, I actually support a couple of clubs, but Cork City is the bread and butter. Do you know what I mean?
But follow your own club as well.
There's an element for me of pride of where you come from, and they represent you, you represent them.
And it's a nice problem if they ever actually come up against each other. Then you can worry about that at another time.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a nice problem.
How brilliant is that your two teams are playing each other?
That's a nice
you can enjoy a game of football, like, yeah.
But if you look at the Scandinavians, they're the exact same, but they take their own football serious.
Yeah.
So the Scandinavians are massive into the Premier League. And, you know, and they go, like, if you ever go to Manchester or Liverpool or anything like that, you will find loads of Scandinavians around. But their league system is way more like advanced than ours.
It's acceptable to support two teams. Speaking of Scandinavians, we had a couple of Swedish lads in a few years ago, and I remember talking to Albin Winbo. He was telling me he's a big Man United fan, and that his favourite player was Roy Keane, and he knew about Cork because Roy was from Cork. And I remember saying to him, I was like, oh, you know, he comes to the Cross fairly regularly, like he'd be there regularly enough. And Albin was taken back. He was looking like, really? What?
Yeah.
And I remember being in the Easy Living suite, and I was chatting to Albin, and Roy walked in, and I was kind of like, there you are. Like, Albin was starstruck, do you know what I mean? But it proves that, like, obviously the Swedish clubs to him over there and to all the Swedish people, it's huge. It's a huge league. Look at AIK, massive club, massive stadium. They can also be passionate and support the Premier League. That can happen here, and I know for a lot of people it does happen.
It does happen, in fairness. I think actually the people who are really into football, that are like they're diehard fans of both clubs.
Yeah,
you can see that. Like, and even some of the people that we spoke to there, you know, in the Monday Memories, there's a lot of those lads go over and watch like Sheffield United and West Ham and play clubs.
No one's saying.
Obviously,
no one's turning around to you and saying, "Oh, you can't support Man United or Liverpool or whoever. You have to support Cork City."
So
if you choose to do that, brilliant. But you can support both. Do you know what I mean? It's okay.
Both, like, and so
it's not a case of one or the other. You have to choose League of Ireland over the Premier League or the Championship. I know there's a lot of Leeds fans in Cork as well, for example. No one's saying one or the other. It's just a case of support the local game. And you know, I know we're saying this now almost like it's a rant against people not supporting local, but the last couple of years there's been a huge shift.
I know, it's brilliant, and I'd like to see more.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's kind of what I'm saying as well with the coverage on social media. It's great. Everywhere you look, you see League of Ireland, but to me, like, it's still not enough. I'll never be satisfied. I want to. There's never going to be a point where you say that's enough. Now we can tone down the League of Ireland coverage. Absolutely not. Keep going. Keep pushing. It's
authentic as well. I think that's what you're getting at a while ago. Like, compared to maybe the Premier League, that's so distant in terms of from the fan perspective. You're so close. But it's the joking, it's the meeting up friends and stuff like that, you know.
How many people went to Turner's Cross now on Friday and they're sitting with people, standing with people, chatting to people that they haven't seen since last October, because that's Turner's Cross is the social out in Cork City Games, is the one night a week where they get to see their buddies and stuff like that. They might be up in Tala now on Sunday, for example, and that's the bit of fun is the travelling on the weekends to away games and stuff like that. That's kind of what you get with your local game. It's, as we always say, it's just more accessible. It's more real life and authentic.
No, it definitely is. But like, we've gone way off tangent here. We're
ranting.
Listen, we're ranting. But I suppose we're at the start of a season, and these things, it's everywhere we look at the moment. So that's why we're talking about it. But obviously, the key talking point is the 2-2. Probably unlucky not to win the other night.
Sorry, I keep coughing now. I've been sick since the weekend, so
I was sick last week.
I'm probably not the most pleasant to listen. I suppose people will probably tell you I'm not pleasant to listen to anyway, but sure, look, the sore throat isn't helping. But no, as you were saying, 2-2, we were unlucky not to win it, I thought.
Yeah.
We were...
God, we nearly had some fast goal there at the start.
I'll be honest, right? I went up to the gantry, so I just got up as the whistle was about to go, hit start on the scoreboard, turned around to put something in the bin, came back and Rory and Phil are screaming into the microphones. I was like, oh, what did I miss? I was panicking. I didn't know where to look, what to do.
Oh, so close.
Saw the replay. Imagine the start. Imagine that had gone in. My God.
What a start. But Malik looked good the other night.
He did. Do you know what we've been saying? And he looked good in pre-season. That goal, sorry, not that goal, that shot that hit the post.
And then
the one thing for me, I know it's hard to see in the video because it's it's difficult to see anything that side. But I think it's Dara Crowley plays the ball over the top. The touch from Malik takes it away from two Galway defenders. Probably could have gone a little bit further, made it easier for himself. But if that had gone in, it would have been an incredible goal, an incredible start to the season. Fully confident at that point, if that had gone in, we would have went on to win the game. But the goal he did get was phenomenal as well.
Yeah,
on the turn into the bottom corner into the shed. Unbelievable.
It was a killer to concede that goal literally the last kick.
I hate.
I'm convinced that we would have went on and won the match.
We would have
if that wasn't a draw at half time. Like
I always get a giggle out of goals like that, either last minute or at the end of half time. I know people always talk about it's the best time to score or the worst time to concede. I had the half time graphic done for 1-0. I was ready for my cup of tea at half time. I had to change it. But it was sickening. If, as you said, we would have won it. I think if we would have went on to win it if we didn't concede there. It was, and that's the thing. We were the better team.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, if first half was probably a minute too long for us. Second half, we could have had a couple of goals in the first half. Greg's goal in the second half, which was brilliant by the way, would have added to it.
That's only second goal for the club.
Yeah. And do you know what? Just on that now, I have a message from Greg Bulger from 2 weeks ago that we're going to play. I've told Greg that this is making it onto the podcast. I'm not just leaking messages, but just before, I think he'd asked me when the sports file shoot was. I told him to have his celebration ready, and this is what I got back.
Do you know what, Howie? Usually I'd turn around there and I'd say, you're talking absolute rubbish. But I'm going to throw it out into the universe. I'm going to score this season, so I'll have that celebration ready, but alright?
I suppose that proves putting things out into the universe, manifesting it works.
Listen, might be the first of many, you never know.
First game of the season. I think that's his first City goal since 2016. So
I tell you something, he looked sharp the other night.
Honestly, probably one of his better performances ever for Cork City.
Oh yeah,
he was absolutely phenomenal.
It was back to 2016 kind of vibe there.
Yeah,
right?
it was absolutely phenomenal. We've all heard the jokes. Greg's old, and he was saying it himself that he's pushing on.
Yeah,
he played 90 last week. He looked like he could have done another 90. He was absolutely phenomenal. Ran the show. He really did run the show. Covered every blade of grass. Was involved in everything. Great goal. Just phenomenal all around.
Shawnee looked good as well the other night. I thought there was a lot of little moves. He was, strong on the ball. They were struggling with him, I think, the Galway defence, So I think, remember as well, Galway had the second best defensive record in the League of Ireland last season in the Premier Division. So
even mathematically, they were in the title race up to the last 3 or 4 weeks as well. But
this is not a weak team.
Do you know what? It was good. I know now we were saying we were good, but first game of the season, we deserved to win. I get that, but big crowd. 2-2 draw. Everyone enjoyed it. It was a thoroughly enjoyable game.
Yeah, 5,000 there as well.
5,031. Pats had 3 more than us. Imagine that. 5,034. Raging. But no, I think everyone enjoyed it. Good to see the new signings on as well. Kit Nelson came on for a while. Alex got on. Benny Couto did very well.
He played very well.
He's had a good pre-season as well. Obviously, Tynan goal as well did well.
Yeah,
I know he conceded the 2 goals, but overall he was. Yeah, he looks like that's a good signing. So yeah, no, it was really encouraging, and I'm excited for Sunday.
I suppose the only down part, but I think it's not as bad as we first expected. Maybe was the injury to Cahill, and
Yeah, I don't have an update on it, to be honest, but I know people were fearing the worst when it happened, and Tim in his post-match interview said he thinks it's just an impact injury. So I hope that's correct, and I hope that's that, because obviously that's not as serious. But it wasn't good to see him go off. We're obviously you see him on the ground and everyone is kind of fearing the worst for him, but hopefully he's okay.
Rio and Freddie made good debuts as well, to be fair.
They did. Rio's been good. He obviously scored against Waterford in pre-season as well. Freddie is a really big and tall defender.
He's tall, alright, isn't he?
He's very tall.
Yeah. But good on the ball.
Yeah, and he looks comfortable and confident, which is good. Plenty to be encouraged about. We're, as we mentioned, we're away this weekend, but we're back at home on the 28th and Bows. So the next 2 are Shamrock Rovers and Bows. Tickets for the Bows game, tickets for the first 5 games actually are on sale. So the next 5 games, I should say. So
5-game package.
Get your tickets. Yeah, there's the actual individual match tickets are on sale, but there's our second 5-game pass as well, which covers the next 5 games. €100 for those. For the 5 games, which is good value.
It's like getting a match for free, kind of.
Exactly, it works out as with the current pricing that one match is free.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's tricky enough start with Shamrock Rovers and Bows coming up, but again, something to relish. I know Shamrock Rovers on Sunday. That was originally down for Friday, but has been moved because they're in Europe on Thursday.
It's interesting to see what will happen on Thursday night for them, because it could be a distraction.
Well, I'd love now.
If they get through, they could be celebrating.
I'd love if it goes extra time. Tire them out.
Yeah.
Let them get through. They'll be celebrating, as you said.
Yeah.
But they'll also be worn out.
Yeah.
Sunday will come around very quickly. That'll be their 3rd game in the space of a week. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We'll see. But I do think it's going to be an enjoyable one in Tala. Obviously, 2023, we were up there 4-4 early in the season. We were 4-2 up. Dara Crowley scored from the halfway line. Aaron Bulger got knocked out cold in that game. Remember that one? So that was an eventful one, but it finished 4-4. We should have won that too. But something similar to that would be entertaining, I would say.
So it's on LOI TV this week?
On LOI TV. We're not on Virgin. The first game on actual TV is Waterford away in a couple of weeks. That's on a Monday. So LOI TV, 6 o'clock on Sunday night. The away tickets are actually on sale as well. They're on our socials. So if you're planning on travelling up, you'd imagine there'd be a big enough crowd.
There's enough live up there as well, though, isn't there?
Exactly. But 6 o'clock on a Sunday makes it kind of, it's okay in terms of getting up there. Yeah. Not ideal with trains and buses. It's a bit tight for the last one.
Yeah.
4 probably would have worked out better. But if people are driving and stuff like that, I think it's not the worst time.
It's amazing that they didn't put it on in the afternoon altogether. But I suppose that would only be benefit to us, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose the last thing they'd want is extra Cork City fans going up there.
They played Sunday there at 2 o'clock. They were only after flying back from Norway on Thursday night.
And they'll probably take any extra hour of preparation they can get. But from our point of view as well, Sunday, 6 o'clock, you'll be on the road again by 8:30. You won't be home too late. So.
And there's obviously a familiar face on that Rovers team.
There's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh and Matt. Yeah,
but I suppose Matty being more recent in terms of, I suppose, getting the goals for us. It's kind of, I suppose we saw him going to Belgium, and then for him to come back, we thought he'd come back to us, but he went to Rovers.
It's never nice to see. That's all I'll say on that, but it's never nice to see.
Josh is obviously kicking on with them as well.
He's done very well for them.
You know.
But
so it's a big one. And actually, when I got back the other night, actually after the City match, I just threw on the end of that Shells game, and so we did show highlights of the.
Do you know what? I didn't get a chance.
So
I wasn't out at Turner's Cross.
Highlights of the City match. No, they only showed the goals, but
that's
still
enough.
They talk about it then,
enough.
I think they just showed them. I could be wrong. I don't think they used Rory's commentary. I could be wrong, no.
They probably just had whoever was in the panel or something.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to have a look, but even with the 45-minute delay at Talca, by the time we got out of the cross, by the time I got home, it was well finished. So I know we were all obviously busy the last week or so, but it's great to have it back, isn't it?
Which are Rovers there as well now coming. Like their star last week was a 16-year-old, so I think it's good timing that we bring in someone to talk about our academy this week.
And our future generations,
and the season is kicking off for them
this weekend.
So let's bring in for his second visit, Liam Kearney. Welcome back to the podcast, Liam. It's been about a year, I'd say, since you were here.
Yeah, nice to be back, lads. Lots probably gone on since then.
Yeah, I suppose a couple of the highlights, I suppose the under-15s when the LOI Cup was that the big one?
I suppose it was certainly a nice thing for them to win a bit of silverware. As I said, probably the previous time that, it's not our being an end all of everything to win things, but I think for the group and for the staff and the work that they put in through the season, Stephen O'Mahony and Paul, it was a very good group as well. I think on the day against St. Pat's at the Cross, they were certainly the better team, and they got the reward for it.
I think looking back, I suppose some of the fans, like I'd imagine their eyes kind of pop open when they see some of the names that you've been associated with in the last year. Take us back to the summer first. You were in Spain. You're playing Seville and Betis. They're great experiences for the lads, I'd say.
I think so. I think whenever we have the kind of end of season evaluation one-on-one meetings and you ask them what the highlights of their year were, generally the response is the trips away.
Yeah.
And I think they might mention, you know, the facilities, obviously playing against the likes of Seville and Real Betis and all. I think Man United, Liverpool, everywhere that we did go was amazing for them. But I think it was more on the bus, in the hotel, the crack in the meeting rooms, you know, bonding was
the
kind
team
of
spirit is
team
probably
spirit.
good.
Yeah. And look, for me, you know for a fact that lifelong, whether they ever progress forward or whatever, that'll probably last in their memories, which is a nice thing to be able to do.
Like I'd say that, it must be an amazing experience. I was looking back there and the buses arriving to Betis's training ground or whatever, but like that must be great. Like they're putting on City's colours over in Spain and like they're representing where they're from, you know what I mean? And it must be a very proud moment for them as individuals as well, though.
I think so. As I said, some players might be playing with the international team and have a feeling or have had an opportunity to do that. But I think there's a lot that won't ever play for their country or might never have another experience other than outside of the academy. So, yeah, look, it's certainly they're representing the club, but they're also representing the country when they do play in these games abroad. And the biggest thing we're seeing as well as coaches is that, you know, after 5-10 minutes, once they settle into the games, they realise, oh, we can compete here.
Yeah, are they kind of daunted at the start before in their first match? Do you see that in their faces before they go out?
Maybe a little bit. I think the first year we went away, I think it was the first time any academy team had gone to England or wherever we went, and there was certainly that little bit. But now I think, let's say the 15s and 17s who've already been on trips are kind of gone over going, because they've won quite a lot of the games now, they're going, we'll have a right chance today. So it's a less of an intimidation, more probably an excitement, really.
And like I think it was the under 14s, last year's under 14s. They played Manchester United and Man City, but they only lost 1-0 to Manchester United's under 14s. Like that, like for a big club with lots of money, you be thinking, you know, like that must be like they must be feeling great. Then there's a buzz coming back home, I'd imagine, after that, something like that.
Definitely. I think, you know, that particular game against United was a really, really good game. You know, from my point of view, from the coaching point of view, when you watched it, you were kind of thinking, like, you know, this is a good football game. This is like, you know, not us sitting in hoping that we don't concede. It was us getting at them getting at us. Could easily have gone a different way the same day. And even the feedback from United and feedback from the clubs like Liverpool is that, you know, we really enjoyed that game while we're used to Irish teams coming over with, you know, physicality, hunger and determination. He said they were real tactical games.
Yeah.
You know, it was great to see that, you know, the coaching that's been done, the style of play that's we're implementing is getting rewarded and they're always happy for us to come back now as well, which is, I suppose, a sign of what we're doing.
So you're kind of building up a bit of a brand name amongst the English clubs and Spanish, and I know you've done Portuguese clubs as well. Like, so that's kind of good for, you know, you going forward. If you're knocking on the door and you're visiting the place, can we get a friendly against you?
Yeah, and look, we see it again even this year. We're looking at maybe a couple of clubs in Holland this year, hopefully. So we have plans always to kind of mix it up and go different places, and as you said, build those relationships. But I do feel that, you know, how we play, obviously the standard at which we're at as well with a lot of the teams, allows those relationships to build, because maybe there's interest down the line that they're looking at some of our players, but there's also a respect on, you know, we're going to give them a good game and it's worth their while having us. Ideally, once we probably build our own facility and have, I suppose, infrastructure that we're proud of, that we have, that we can invite more clubs to come over to us as well. So yeah, that's kind of where we want things to go.
Speaking of infrastructure, probably, you know, you've probably heard all the talk in recent times and the programme for government where they're allocating funds for League of Ireland Academy. Do you think it's just all talk, or do you think something might happen this time?
Well, this is my 5th season now as head of the academy. There's been a lot of talk previous, but I think the talk and the probably feel around the place is that it's definitely closer than it ever was. Obviously, pre-season academy meetings with heads of academy and the FAI, there's certainly positive negotiations and conversations going on in government, which we hope to hear maybe in the next couple of months, of maybe an agreement or funds becoming available. But look, it has to happen. I think everyone's very aware, you know, we need the funding, we need support. And the key for me too is that everything is, ring fenced and accountable. I think any money that does come to academies needs to be used in the best possible way. So that would be important to me. I'd be happy for someone to say, this is where this needs to go, this is where that money's going. So then everything's very clear and understood. And I think that's going to make things better for everyone.
Yeah, like you'd imagine, like they're looking at it now and just, we saw like Rovers and Boas playing in the Aviva the other day, that there's potentially an industry here, but that industry has to be developed. They can't just flick on a switch and here we go. It needs to progress over time. And obviously the national team as well, especially with Brexit, we're seeing more and more young players, including some of our own lads, breaking into our own first team and stuff and then getting transfers abroad. So hopefully that's going to help.
Yeah, look, listen, there's no doubt there's, 33,000, was it?
Yeah.
Over 30,000 anyway, at the Aviva last weekend, which is great to see, and it's been rising all the time, especially over the last year or two. There's no one can, I suppose, have, any doubt over that at this point. And look, the support from the government certainly needs to come. And I suppose how that is associated with education from the academy point of view is really important. Because that's something that needs to be discussed, in terms of how I suppose if we want more full-time coaches, how does that look? Are we in schools? There's TY courses that are there at the moment. Is there going to be funding for that within clubs? And even from there, from 5th and 6th, are we going to be able to align with schools to give, I suppose, full-time training that would kind of be how it is in Scandinavia or whatever country that's quite similar to us? So we're not just, still part-time training. It's how we can...
So it's implemented into the day, is it?
Yeah, link everything. In my opinion, that's how things need to be done to get to the next level.
Like a nearly standalone educational facility that they do classes and train.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
a probably younger version of the FOSS program that would, was famous for producing the likes of Roy Keane, and I know Damien, when he was on the podcast, talked about being in it and stuff. Mick Conroy and all them and Paul Bannon were involved in, but a kind of modern day version of that's more streamlined with our education.
Yeah, and look, how that looks and how it works, there's a lot of questions to be answered about it. But for me, like TY courses are there at the moment. But for me, you've TY where you probably become kind of a full-time footballer because you're doing the course, you're doing full-time training, and you have the evening football with your club. But then if you go to 5th year and you stop, come back to part-time stuff again, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So how we then, if you're in transition year, is it that you stay in the same school and do 5th year? And how does training look along with your back into full education again? So there's lots of things that need, from my point of view, to be looked at, but that's how I see things going forward, to really become, I suppose, professional academies and give these kids the best opportunity.
So what happens in, like, for example, like you played the likes of, Preston's and, they're big clubs, obviously, but their academy systems, are they in school by day, or like, how does it work? Or did you get the chance to talk to their coaches over? Like,
it's different in lots of different places. I know in Hoffenheim, they still only train in the evening.
Was it?
Yeah. So like they're full time in terms of they are in every day.
Yeah.
Like, so they still go to their schools. The boys from Europe that are coming in during the day will do their schooling through online international schooling.
Okay.
And then in certain clubs in Scotland, I think they had an association with a school where all the Celtic players would be in a certain school and they'd be...
Oh, they'd go into that school for...
From what I gathered as well from there. But it's not one situation for every club.
Yeah.
And it's, I suppose, when they have full-time coaches, they have more... And they have the facilities as well. This is the thing, that they're capable of bringing them in after school, feed them, then maybe have a second session later in the evening. So again, I'm just interested to hear how we do it here, and what the plan is, I suppose, from the FAI as well, in terms of if they do get the money, they're the governing body. Is there a structure getting put in place for everyone? I know there's an audit coming for academies, so there's going to be structurally which academies are, let's say, the higher level ones, which academies are different tiered. So there's a lot of things happening, which hopefully are going to make everything a little bit more professional, a little bit more full-time.
So with that in mind then, are you also then kind of building up a bit of a portfolio for Cork City in advance of that, to say, like, this is what we've done. I'd imagine one measure of success is people who've gone on to play for their country. Would it be at any level? So I know the likes of David Dunn, Ben Dummigan, Tom McGrath, they're all playing for the under-15s, under-16s, and then you have a few other lads older. You obviously had Cahill playing for the under-19s. You know, is that a measurement of?
Yeah, it's certainly one way of looking at it. You know, a metric of how well an academy's doing. I suppose it's also the structure that you put in place.
Yeah.
You know, from your strength and conditioning department, your video analysis department, your nutrition department, even your coaching side of things. You know, every team, what you have put in place within each group, your time that you have with them on the pitch. So I suppose the structure behind the performances of the players is important too, and what clubs are investing, I suppose, as well in those structures. So yeah, there's probably a lot of different areas. I think if they're looking at auditing facilities, there's a lot of clubs that are definitely failing that because there's not a lot of clubs with
top facilities,
and we know that. And I think FAI know that too. And I suppose it's showing that is probably nearly a good thing as well to the government to say, look, this is where we're at.
In comparison to, say, let's say the GAA who would have incredible facilities. Yeah. And not just one facility in an area. They could have a number that they could train in. Yeah, and listen, fair play to them. They're doing things right, and you have to look at it and go, we need to get to that level, know, and we do need support for that. But, I suppose what the government and everyone needs to see is that we're still producing players in spite of that. Imagine what we could do with support and infrastructure that, we had the facilities, and we had the time and we had full-time staff to really, really give these boys a good opportunity. And it must be proud for you to see some of the lads break through to the first team last year as well. Obviously it was a massive season for Cahill. Jaden started really well before going to Benfica, but then you had the likes of Aaron and Matty and all them. There's a few others as well that were there. That must be great to see the lads that came through your system. Definitely. Look, I suppose last year, more than any year really, we had a lot of players get the opportunity as well. And to be fair to Tim, he's very open to, sitting down and going through lads and going, well, if they're good enough, I'll give them an opportunity. Yeah. People might say, oh, well, last year was comfortable and it was probably easier to do that. It was still a big decision to give some lads an opportunity. Yeah. And in fairness to Tim, he had obviously an eye on which ones he felt he looked at and thought they were ready to do it. And they did very well, which was great, So, look, there is talent. We know we've got talented players coming through. I think all our coaches, we've fantastic coaches, but fantastic people as well. All through the academy from 20s. Now we've Darren Murphy come in with the 20s, Colin leading the 17s, obviously Dan Murray with the 15s, and Lee Moore, fantastic young coach with the 14s. So, I think we're in a good place in terms of who we have in the management roles and the staff in around them. We've such good people. I won't mention too many, but the likes of Terry McCarthy and these people that go above and beyond in any sort of way. Yeah. Because, they see the holistic side of things that, while sometimes we can get caught up in where's the player at? Is he ready to play? There's also people looking where we all are, but certainly the likes of Terry there would understand there could be something going on there at home. There could be, there could be this issue. Let's think on the broader scale here, why he may not be performing. It's the people as well as the level of coaches that we have, I think is what we have that's very special. And obviously, you're preparing for the start of a new season. It kicks off the week after next, is it? Or when does it kick off? Yeah, so for this Saturday and Sunday now, we're actually playing Kerry 2 games on Saturday with the 20s and 15s. And then on Sunday, the 17s and 14s have Kerry at home as well. So it's all Kerry. All Kerry, yeah. So, no, it's great. Look, it's been a good pre-season now. We've had a good lot of games to get the lads ready. So I think they're all excited to get going now and kick on this season. And obviously for the 14s, it's the first competitive outing then. Yeah, look, they've been in since last July. I actually coached them myself last year with, Michael Conroy came back in and a few others as well. So, yeah, look, it's a lovely group. They're very technically very good footballers. So, yeah, it's a big occasion for them to come in. Obviously, they were away last year already to Liverpool and Preston, and they did very well there as well. Yeah. So, no, it's exciting.
it's always nice to see the new group coming in and to see that look on their faces and, you know, trying to instill wearing that jersey with pride and honour, you know.
Yeah, and I see that you were doing kind of time trials with them or something. I see on the Cork City Academy of your own social channels for anyone listening. You can kind of keep up to date with all the results and stuff. But you were doing kind of sprint tests and stuff like that with them.
Yeah. So once they come in, we do the testing at start, middle and end. And basically we can build a portfolio of every player, you know, from their individual stats, their, you know, weights, their heights, their maturation tests, so you can see how tall a kid is going to be, which is obviously important when you're recruiting players as well, to know, you know, if you're a centre back, what height he's possibly going to get to, rather than, you know, if he's never going to get to 5'6", you know, it's not going to work. So but yeah, look, it's part of what we do, the testing, as you said, pre-season, and the boys enjoy it too, you know, they try and beat each other's scores and stuff like that. But it's also, if a club, let's say like Benfica, go, we like him, have you got the detail with him, we can, you know, speak to them and give them a bit of detail about the players as well. And
are you very open in that regard then? Like, obviously, you know, the I suppose the most famous kind of, I suppose, departure in the last year has been Jayden moving to Benfica. Have you communication with that club then, or is it that directly with his family, or how does that work?
Yeah, so look, I would have had contact, I think, with the sporting director, and obviously, you know, while we would have loved to keep Jayden a bit longer, I think everyone would have liked to seen that. It was, you know, it was a move he wanted to happen, and listen, when a club like that come calling, it's very hard not to take it. So, yeah, no, I have a good relationship with them. You know, we've obviously been over there to play games as well against them and Sporting Lisbon. So, and we might again take someone there this year. So, listen, you work with people. You'd like to think the better the relationship, the better financial deal you can do down the line as well, because, you know, it's not just one player that we're producing. So.
But obviously, when they're not 18 and they're not under contract, it's just compensation you get from UEFA then at that point.
Yeah, so it's compensation that you get from UEFA, which some clubs are like, this is what it is, and you're going to just take that. And then there's other clubs that go, look, you know, we might be coming back for more players down the line. We'd like to do sell-ons or, you know, first team appearances, fees and things like that, where you can build up what you can get.
Yeah, okay.
It is hard, and it's something that, you know, I think from the higher level of, you know, whether it's the FAI or somewhere higher than that, you know, we do feel the compensation figures should be a lot higher than they are for the time, I suppose. And it's like grassroots clubs, you know, the work they put in, they should get more money for the time they've had before they come to us. We feel we should get more money from the bigger clubs if we are, because we put in the work, the grassroots club have put in the work, and it's also to help us sustain ourselves as well, because there's obviously, you know, we're not running at a profit, we're running at a loss every year in what we're trying to do, because we're trying to do it to the best of our ability in terms of pre-match meals, buses, taking the boys away.
But you're putting the hard work in the early days that benefits other clubs, and we just see obviously someone who was in here last year with us was Jake O'Brien, and now he's flourishing under David Moyes at Everton.
There you go.
But the hard work was done not just by City, but, you know, y'all, Corinthians, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that, you know, it's frustrating, because if a player doesn't sign a contract at 16, and obviously the European clubs can sign them at 16, then, you know, they leave for very small money. But look, that's where it's at the moment. The other side of that for me is it's always very proud to see players getting moves, because as much as you'd like to keep them further and longer and play for the club, I always think there's two pathways that you can stay till you're 18. Like, you look at Carl O'Sullivan right now, you know, absolutely unbelievable talent, great kid. And no doubt opportunities are coming his way, probably in the summer or whenever that is. But he'll be going to England or wherever it is, having played so many League of Ireland first team games. So now he's gone over there
with
as
men's
a first
football.
Men's football. He's gone over there to be a first team player. And no, I've been there. When you might sign for an academy, you're going over to be one of 60, 80 players. You're going over there to be a first team player. It's a completely different situation. And I think clubs in England and further afield have a real respect for a player at that age that's played so many first team games, which Cahill will have done by that time.
And we've seen with Mason Mealy just signing a deal with Spurs, which is a very interesting deal, whereby he stays with Pats until he's 18.
Yeah.
You know, like...
And that's for an English club, they couldn't do any other way unless they did, I suppose, farm him out to another European club.
Yeah.
Because they can only take him at 18. So, yeah, pre-agreement there, obviously, with Spurs, which, you know, fantastic. People say, oh, why are they getting that? Well done. Like, hopefully that helps everyone.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We want to be in a position where we can, I suppose, be able to bring in that type of money to kind of, as I said, sustain the club, and I suppose put a bit of respect on what work is being done here. You know?
And, we're also seeing then the likes of, Rovers with a 16-year-old last week. Does that kind of put pressure on the hero coaches now to start producing players for the first team when you're seeing 16, 17-year-olds popping up left, right and centre, and not just actually here, but actually in other European leagues as well, like Lamine Yamal and stuff like that. It seems to be a new trend.
Yeah, I think, look, there's always special talents that, from a young age are probably mature enough physically and mentally to be able to handle coming into the first team environment. It's always also something to be very careful about too, that, you don't give them too much too soon, or, they don't get, burnt out too early. Like obviously with David Dunn last year coming in, got his debut with the first team. We're still conscious as well that, he's still 16, he's still a kid, and we need to make sure that the timing of everything, that he gets the opportunities at the right time, and that he's looked after in the right way off the pitch as well as that. So there's a lot to it. It is great to see such young lads within the country getting that opportunity, though.
And obviously he wasn't in the squad last weekend because he was with the Irish team.
Yeah.
So he'll probably kind of float between academy teams and probably first team this year, depending on requirements and stuff.
Yeah, and there is a lot of balance with that, because obviously he's still under 17. He can play under 20s. He can play first team.
Yeah.
And even just balancing his week, so that we're looking at it that he's not overtraining or undertraining. And at the weekend, if he is with the first team, well, what are his minutes actually that he did play? So we need to make sure that we're not at the point where he's with the first team, but he's actually only playing 10 minutes, or he's with the 17s and he's with the 20s and he's with the first team. And so you just have to make sure you get the balance right, because it is about David and his individual development.
Whereas somebody like Harvey then, who signed his first contract, that's probably different then, because he's at the under 20 level and he can commit to more time, I'd imagine, at that stage.
Exactly. Well, like Harry's in college too, and it's just balancing his college with first team training. Yeah. And again, if he can't make first team training due to college, then he's training with the 20s in the evening. So all these things are just, we work out between ourselves and Tim. At the end of the day, we as Academy, we want whatever Tim Academy players he wants in, they go in and they train with the first team, or they play with the first team. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to produce players for the first team,
And are you having conversations as well with parents when they get to like 17, 18 to try and say, okay, look, they haven't broken into the first team yet. They should really start looking at college and stuff like that as well. And obviously they'll still be in our system also. Is it kind of go down that road? Yeah,
look, I think the toughest thing for me and my toughest job every year is come the end of the season, that gap between under 15s to under 17s. Okay. So there's retain and release meetings where we sit down. It's the end of the season evaluation, but it's also, am I getting kept on? Am I getting released? And they're tough meetings, because you're really working off two squads. So 30 players going into a squad of 18 really is what you get left with. And sometimes those decisions are very hard, because you might see potential in them, but then you're like, if I can't give game time here, then it's not good for him, and it's not good for us to be holding him when I know he's probably not going to play ahead of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So look, you're listen. Those meetings are hard, and there's a lot of emotion, obviously, because you're talking to a player and possibly a parent, and no matter what feedback you're giving, I know that I've just been told I'm getting released, and everything else becomes a blur, because I've been there. I know what that's like, and it's not nice. But look, from my point of view, I do try to reach out to other clubs the day or two afterwards, speak back with the parent, go, look, I've spoken to Cove, I've spoken to whoever, what are you thinking, what are you feeling, so that you try and give them every angle of next opportunity. And
I've seen that you've also, so the opposite of that will be some lads that maybe feel that they, if they don't get into City or Ramblers at the age of let's say 13. But I've noticed during the season there that you've taken on a couple of lads at under 17s that came from the likes of Corinthians or whoever, that you brought in a few boys from. So is it a case that they're just late developers? Or how does that kind of?
Yeah, look, we always have people looking at games, and you never close your mind off that this is the group that we have and we're set with this group forever. It's not, because it's constantly changing, and you're constantly hearing, oh, listen, this lad is doing well, or that lad's doing well. Like, for instance, this year, from other clubs we brought in, Calvin O'Sullivan's come in from Kerry, a real big prospect with under 15s. We brought in IK Manjor from Treaty for under 17s. So like we're constantly evaluating our squads, and also looking at what high potential players are out there that can come into,
So you're constantly scouting. It's not just for the under 14s. You're looking at all age profiles
all age
as
groups,
such.
yeah, because things are constantly changing, and you can never be close-minded enough to think, oh well, he's playing once the senior league, and that's not at the level. But individually, he might be someone that if you go up, like Ronan O'Shea, for instance, with our under 20s, came in late last year. I think it's Douglas Hall we signed him from. Really has kicked on in that time since. Yeah, and it's really showing up again in pre-season, and could be another one that pushes on as well. So just because we don't possibly sign you 13s or 14s doesn't mean we're not open to the idea of bringing them in later as well.
So you mentioned that there's games coming up. Would you like people to come out and support them, or does that put pressure on the young lads? Or what's your viewpoint on that?
Well, listen, the more people that come and watch, the better, because like you're always trying to create a situation that, there is that little bit of pressure, because the game, as it evolves into under 20s, into first team football, you're going to have people in the stand, you're going to be maybe sometimes not the flavour of the month in the crowd. And it's being able to deal with all that. But look, I think from the younger ages, you'll always find there's more parents, because they're still their babies.
And they drop off probably. No, I'm not saying that they give up on them, but they're not as hands-on maybe as when they get older.
Definitely, yeah. Look, I think, I think as you get to 17s and 20s and you're going to the away games, then there's less maybe there at the games. But no, as I said, look, that's part of the journey. Look, even from the social media side of things now, after games, we're trying to do little interviews with the players, even at 14s and the trips.
Sort of like press conferences and stuff like that. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's good fun as well. Even interviewing him, and some lads love talking, other lads couldn't think of anything worse, and you're just trying to build that confidence. And listen, this is going to be part of what it might be like if it's a professional player.
And you've got the likes of Owen O'Connell to kind of drop in on their session in Liverpool with them as well. Like, that's kind of good to get players that a bit of experience come and talk about their story. I'd imagine to them, is it?
Absolutely, and hopefully this year we might try and bring back in, like, even Jacob Bryan maybe on his holidays this year will come in and have a chat with the lads. Someone who's gone through the academy. So like those kind of things are invaluable too, because seeing someone, for the kids to see someone that's gone on to the highest level come back, and even Jaden maybe coming back and having a chat with the youngest ones, like going, right, that's what I want to aspire to.
They look up to them, like.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from our point of view as an academy, you're going, Jesus, isn't it great that we were part of his journey,
I know there's been lots of events to raise funds, fee and stuff like that. I'm sure you're open to anyone that's listening to get involved. If you're always looking for people even to sponsor trips, I'd imagine. If anyone wants to sponsor a trip, you're open to that.
Listen, absolutely. While it is great that we take all the teams away, and look, we will be going away with everyone this year, like the cost generally for the trips does fall back to the parents or guardians, and look, that's not ideal. But in fairness, last year we did manage to bring in a lot of money. Chris Harrington, God rest him, was really good for us in terms of going out there helping us to gain sponsorship, and I was very grateful for the work that he put in to help that situation last year. But look, it's something really worthwhile that we do, and we do feel there's huge value in taking the boys away. And listen, if there's anyone out there that's interested in supporting it, look, even at the moment I'm trying to chase a mast for matches, so that we've at the moment one mast.
Okay.
We have to watch. We record the games. So obviously we've got all the cameras and everything, but we're caught at the moment with one mast, and obviously there's a cost to that. But look, those kind of things that
like
you might think of.
a scaffolding company or something.
Something
out there.
Yeah,
surely there's
a mobile
somebody,
scaffolding company maybe. But
or like who had a hoist or something that they could leave there for the weekend, like one of these rental, because it's going to be on a Saturday and Sunday. All the matches, aren't they?
Yeah, no, we do cover all the games and stuff like that, but it's just, I suppose there's always different little small costs. But appreciate it. There's anyone out there.
So if anyone's listening to this, look, Liam and the lads could do with some help. So look, best of luck with the season ahead. We'll be calling out the results here on any profile we can give them. It's great, but we're excited to see where you get up to for the year and see who the next stars that break through.
Absolutely, no, we're all looking forward to it now. So hopefully we can find a new star coming out soon.
Thanks million for coming in, Liam.
No worries.
Yeah, a very detailed look, I suppose, at the whole academy structure and that.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. Like I'm somewhat closer to it than a listener would be, because I see it going on. But even at that, there's so much to it that people don't see and people probably don't appreciate. In terms of there's so many teams Liam obviously only covers the boy side. There's the girl side as well, where it's all the same as well.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. It's almost like its own industry, its own academy football side of things. In what goes on in it,
and all the connections he's making with different clubs around Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the club, the trips. That's the one thing that I think were received really well by the public last year, and seeing that we're doing that and we're giving the young players these opportunities and stuff to play against the best of the best at their age groups and stuff. And it's for them, as Cairns was saying there, like some of them might not go on to play football at a high level or professionally or whatever. So
but
these experiences they're really worthwhile and enjoyable for them. And that's, I suppose that's why he wants to do them all the time, and he pushes so hard to do them. He's saying again that every team is going to get a trip this year as well. He mentioned there Holland and stuff. Again, that's very exciting.
That's brilliant.
It's an exciting thing to be able to offer a young player and to say, look, this is what Cork City can provide. Do you know what I mean?
Will they wear the away jerseys over there, I wonder?
Probably, yeah. They might be received very well over there.
Yeah.
Frank and Walters would be delighted. They might sell a few CDs and
then tell them we have 2 Dutch lads as well.
Yeah.
I suppose when we were talking about that last week, we forgot the fact that we had a Portuguese player and a French player on the team, did we? Or was it? Remember we were talking about all the international players last week.
I know. I was talking about the Dubs. I didn't even mention Portuguese.
Yeah, we totally forgot about that.
But no, it's cool. Even in the program, the player squad list page in the program, you see the different flags.
That's
it's
nice,
cool, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
we introduced the flags. We never had the flags up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was the signing of the 3 Swedish lads. Actually, where it was like, oh, this will look cool now. So we added in the flags.
No, like even there now, you know, for Liam to go off with the lads this summer now, like if they're going to, you know, Holland or going off across to England or whatever, right? I think it's just brilliant. They're showing the city around Europe.
Yeah, they're representing the club.
But they're taking notice of us as well. And
absolutely,
like when our players then are going to kick on and play so well.
There's inevitably something. We're obviously going to their facilities or whatever. There's a lot we can learn from them. But there's always going to be something they see that we're doing that they can take as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's the brilliance of it. And
it is a good time for youth football in this country. Like, you know,
absolutely, yeah.
There's a lot of good young players coming through.
We talk about people taking notice. They really are in every aspect of it. And the more of a spotlight that comes on the league in a senior sense, there's going to be clubs in England looking at the academy setups and how the players and how the clubs are getting to where they are.
Another 16-year-old score for someone like, was it Dundalk or someone at the weekend or someone?
I don't know. I know
a young player scored somewhere else.
I know Shamrock Rovers put on another 16-year-old at the Aviva.
That's right.
I don't have his name, but they had 2 16-year-olds on up top together. Yeah, which is again, it's brilliant. Like it's kind of a good example of the grassroots work that's being done within the league. There's been way too much Shamrock praise now from us.
We'll turn against them next week.
I'll edit this. I'll take it. Yeah, we'll turn on them on Sunday.
Yeah, but we have to take an interest in the other teams.
In what's going on. True, yeah.
In the other teams, we have to do spy mission.
Opposition watch, KGB missions, like Tim mentioned in the his press conference last week.
But also, last week saw the start of the fantasy football.
I told you. I said I'm going to be horrendous at fantasy football.
Both bad.
And yeah, true.
Yeah, we're actually, and we have different teams, I say, but we're actually the same amount of points, like 40 points each.
I'll be honest.
I think ours are 48. I don't know what it is.
I made my team. My team doesn't make, in a fantasy football sense, it doesn't make any sense. I'm a very loyal Cork City man. Like, so I think I've Shawnee, Keats and Cahill in my squad, and just for no particular reason, I was just like, they'll be fine. I want them in.
I put Matty Healy in as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
If he scores now on Sunday,
yeah,
that's on you.
I don't know how I went down the league there must be extra people who've joined the Rebel Pack.
I'm just loading it now, right?
I was 70 something when ago. Now I'm 81. There's no matches.
Oh, I'm 78. Hold on.
So we so I think we have over 100 people in the league, have we? We must have. I tell you.
Oh, we do. Yeah, there's loads in the league. Yeah, there's loads.
101. But fair play. We might as well mention Jonathan Norton at the top of the league with 69 points. Fair play to him. He knows his stuff so far anyway. He's off to a good start.
I'm level on points with the fella above me, so I'm going to claim joint 77th instead of 78th place. So
78th place. Yeah, but there's loads of us on the same look.
Do you know what? Fair play to Jonathan.
Me and you have the exact same points after the first week.
I'm still claiming the extra couple of places ahead of
And like even in among Chris is in there with us.
But Jonathan's team here, he's well ahead. He's 7 points ahead of second place. He's done very well for himself.
Yeah. Oh, he's pushing it on. So
team name, Shower of Langers.
Yeah. So no.
What did you go with your team name in the end?
So On Trap FC. So
Not bad.
On Trap means on the Rebel Army podcast.
Trapattoni vibes.
Trapattoni, you see.
Yeah. I went with This Is How We Do It.
Oh, I'm nearly bursting into song
It's
there,
safe, I'm
Montel
telling
John.
you. That's our outro song this week.
Yeah, so I think Liam already mentioned anyway, there's a couple of academy fixtures this weekend.
Everyone's playing Kerry. Everyone's playing against Kerry. Yeah.
Cork v Kerry all the way.
Yeah. And the women's under 17s are kicking off as well. Also playing against Kerry up in Mayfield as well on Saturday, 2:00.
And is Derek Collin now taking over them?
Derek's in charge there, yeah. We mentioned that a few weeks ago. So Derek Collin is the women's 17s and Barry Ryan is in doing the 19s.
Very good.
19s aren't on this weekend, so it's just Derek. I actually stood with Derek. The women's first team had a behind closed door friendly the other day. Stood with Derek for that. Had a good chat about his 17s team and how they're feeling for the season. So he's raring to go.
It's great to have him back in the club. Yeah, so away this week we have a bit of a gap. So between fixtures, actually 9-day gap because of us playing on the Sunday against
Exactly.
Rovers.
So we kind of have extra time to recover, whereas Shamrock have less because they're obviously playing on Thursday night. And as we said, hopefully that goes to extra time and penalties or something. Just make it as long and difficult as possible. I have to source a Molde jersey before Thursday.
VAR decisions.
Might go up on Thursday, get myself a Molde jersey. Touch up on my Norwegian.
Although, did I see something there the other day that, with Rovers doing so well in Europe now, the coefficient for the league's gone up. So for next season, potentially whoever wins the FAI Cup,
us,
well, hopefully, might go straight into the Europa League.
I saw something about that. I haven't looked into it. I think I saw that tweet on Friday or Saturday, and you know yourself, like, you never get a chance to read anything on a Friday or Saturday. So
look,
I'll have to have a proper look.
I'd imagine there is some sort of impact because I remember long ago when you'd be looking at this and like you'd be hoping that you'd even just get seeded in the qualifying rounds or whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays there's a chance actually that we can kind of get a bit further into it.
Do you know what? It's one benefit. It's the one benefit, I suppose, of Shamrock doing that well, that it'll leave sort of like a lasting legacy that other clubs can come in and hopefully get easier is probably the wrong word, but more winnable ties and
pressure on Chelsea now to do the same this year because they'll be going into the Champions
League. We'll see how they do.
Yeah,
not well, hopefully, but
they've just got somebody on loan from Liverpool. Saw
that,
yeah.
Something Norris. I saw Damien Duff called him Chuck in his in his interview welcoming to the club. He's like, I'm sure Chuck will do well. So obviously that's his nickname sorted for them before he even steps foot in the door.
Just goes to show, like what we were saying at the start of the podcast, the amount of media coverage, just the smallest of stories are getting picked up.
Everything,
getting bloated even.
I've noticed we're getting onto the shows like the Today Show and stuff. They're cutting over to the Virgin studio for a couple of minutes preview on Friday night and stuff like that. So it's not just the sports shows that are talking about us. It's the
not
generic.
all like I know a Coppa 90 were up covering a couple of the matches.
They were in the Aviva,
yeah. They were I think around for a whole weekend. I think.
Were they? We had a guy at the Cross last Saturday as well. I haven't seen the video yet. League of Irish Ball. He does sort of match day.
Oh yeah.
Pitch side vlogs.
Yeah.
It's his first time at the Cross. As I said, I haven't seen the video yet. So, but look, that's more coverage. It's all that stuff as well.
I see that Instagram post by Classic Football. Classic Shots.
I did.
And there we were with the West Germany 1990 World Cup winning team ourselves.
To be fair to Classic Football shirts, they've got shops in Manchester and London. I go into the two of them anytime I'm in either of those cities.
Shop, actually.
They do, it's class. But they actually do a fair bit of Cork City propaganda on our behalf. Like
they're a Corkful involved.
There must be. There's a guy, they do I follow them on TikTok and Instagram Reels as well, and they'd have up stuff, like they'll wear their favourite jersey to work and they'll say, this is my... And there's always a guy who wears Cork City gear, so we always get a feature, to be fair to them. So
there's a Cork
some bunch of lads,
connection.
They always wear the it's obviously the West Germany one, the 3 stripes over the shoulder one, and the pyjama one as well. So
famous for Klinsmann and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
They won Italia 90 that time.
Famous for Dave Barry and
then there was the German connection because they played Bayern Munich.
Exactly, yeah.
Stefan Effenberg potentially played in that jersey.
Bayern Munich, who also had at the same time the same template that Cork City had in different colours.
Right, you'd never think it was a German brand we're making them.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so
They made it. They invented it and came up with the design. We wore it best. But
popular culture, man.
that was it.
We're very much part of it.
massive, as we'd say.
Massive.
Absolutely massive.
So yeah, until next week when we'll be back. And hope you enjoyed.
Hopefully we're back in talking about an enjoyable night in Tala.
Yeah, and we're moving on up the table. We're fourth at the moment.
European football, boy.
Top four, we'll take it. Top
That
four.
coefficient will do us well.
You keep getting on, moving on over us. We'll take advantage of it.
No,
Next season.
I'm not. No. They can get knocked out now on Thursday. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.